Some wounds will never mend. It came with a warning, now we're all out of time. This romance with ignorance has left us behind. Sit back, relax, begin.
So how do these two organizations work together?
Right, so I have to kind of compartmentalize all my reptile stuff because I'm still the executive director of the Herp Society, but we have a specific role in the community. WPS Reptiles is my education stuff that's kind of separate. I do like smaller local birthday parties, Cub Scout events and stuff like that. The Herp Society does also, and I just make sure that if something comes to WPS, I keep it there. If something comes to MHS, I keep it there. And then Badgerland Reptile Rescue is also from Kenosha, and they're a 501c3 that came up in 2021. My wife, Sarah, started Badgerland. We have an incredible group of volunteers, and it operates out of the facility. So the upstairs, all these animals are mine, unless I've adopted them from Badgerland, but Sarah makes me do adoption paperwork, and I have to pay the adoption fee if I want something, so it's legit. Badgerland operates out of the facility, so if we have a surrender or we have an adoption, they meet at the facility. It's like a neutral location. We operate out of the downstairs, the basement area. We have animals that are in quarantine there, so we keep them in kind of a quarantine setup so we can observe feces. The animals get checked out by the vet when they, seem to need that. And then any medically significant animals that need medications or need significant monitoring, stay at the facility. Madison is an absolute superstar who's here a lot, helping me upstairs. I couldn't do this without Madison. She helps with my animals upstairs. She's a volunteer for the WPS Reptiles and Badgerland. She's on the board for Badgerland. She basically is WPS with me, and when I can't go to a birthday party, she covers it. And yeah, you're the best. Thank you so much. But Badgerland's a foster-based, so we have about 25 families that are fosters for Badgerland that will take animals, like animals that come in and they're healthy. They have a green light from the vet, and then they can go. Some of them need practice and socialization. They need to learn, humans are okay. Yeah. We don't send necessarily aggressive animals out, but animals that are a little more nervous and need a little bit more socialization go to foster homes. And even if they don't, we don't have the space to house 60 bearded dragons and 50 leopard geckos and 45 ball pythons. So it's nice to have foster people that can take these animals. There are a few families that are like, we want reptiles, but we don't know if we're ready for them, and it's an opportunity for them to practice and get used to an animal and learn about it. Then a lot of times they'll foster fail and they'll adopt the animal they're fostering, which is really great. And when the animals are ready for adoption, then they can stay in the foster home until they're adoptable.
Well, it seems like it just works hand in hand, just absolutely perfectly.
It does.
Wow.
Because we all have a responsibility for educating in the hive.
Yes.
So I got a little bit of a bigger lizard. This is Ralphie. He's got some stuff on his face. He's an Argentine red tegu. He's a big guy. He doesn't always like to be held, so I'm going to hold him as long as I can.
I remember at the recent show he was walking around.
We have him at a couple shows.
Yeah.
He does better when we keep him in like a wagon or like a tub, and then people can pet him when they're in the tub, because he just doesn't like to be handled for too long. He's doing a good job now. You want to pet him?
No.
No, you're still feeling things out, right?
Yeah.
These guys are from South America. The boy tegus get these big, handsome jowls, so they look, they're good looking to the lady tegus.
Oh, hi.
I'll let him walk around for a second.
Hi.
Come here, buddy.
I'll put up a barrier.
He came to the Badgerland Reptile Rescue a few months ago, and he's just a big, giant, huge sweetheart. So breeders, your YouTube is very educational, and you're breeding animals for the pet trade. but there's such a huge education component to what you're doing. And I remember like one of my first sewer fests, I think it was like 2014, and I think that's when I met you. It was probably 2013, 2014 at Sewer Fest.
When you were like 8, 9, 10?
I was probably
10
about 8 years old
Yeah.
at the time. Yeah, I rode my bike up there. And like your education is so important to you because the animals you're breeding, you want them to go to their homes and you want people to know what they're doing, but you also aren't gatekeeping your information. And any brand new person who's coming up to learn, you want to make sure they're equipped. And you have 25 people at your table and everyone gets your undivided attention. And that was so awesome when I first met you guys, that I was so impressed that you were like that. I'm like, that guy is amazing. Nanette and Wally do an incredible job. Because you're breeding, but you're educating at the same time. And so we always are doing education. And I started off in the hobby as a breeder and a collector.
Yeah.
I just wanted to grab every weird oddball reptile I could. And I love where I'm at now. I like doing the rescue. I like doing the education. I like rehabilitating these animals and helping them find loving homes. They all deserve, they deserve love still, and I like doing that. I've become hospice for a bunch of animals. Important to me is, there's a few things that are important to me, but it's important to me that people like understand these animals and respect them. And that kind of means both ways. Like, I don't want people to be afraid of them. I don't want people to fall into those myths like the snake laying in bed next to the lady is going to try and eat her. Like, snakes don't try to eat people. They're not chasing you in the wild. But I also, on the other end of it, I don't want people to just go out in the wild and start grabbing animals and playing with them. Like, respect means respecting them in the wild and, don't take them home. Don't provoke them. But it also means not being afraid of them either. That's really important to me. And then just understanding just the animal and how they're cared for and what their needs are and the role they have in their environment. So I was at a show, we were at a show a few months back, and someone had a leopard gecko and someone asked them, do you know where they're from? And the lady said no. Like, she didn't know where her leopard gecko was from. And that's okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
it's your
yeah,
pet.
yeah.
But let's teach you where it's from. They're from Iraq and Iran.
You're helping people from, entry all the way up in understanding reptiles and getting in touch with nature and starting them with either their first or second or third animal, but just kind of helping them with that process. That's what's really cool.
Yeah, thanks, Wally. All my reptile projects, whether it being I work at Zilla, and so being at Zilla, the brand has really kind of refocused on targeting newer keepers in the hobby, targeting younger keepers, getting people interested and invested in the hobby and making it successful. And the Madison Herp Society has always had that mission as well. When you have a kid who wants to get their first gecko, we want it to be healthy. We want it to be an enriching experience. If a kid goes to the pet shop, buys a gecko, and it dies in 3 weeks, they're not going to want animals, and they're not going to want reptiles, and they're not going to want to be in the hobby. But we want them to be in the hobby. So we want them to be successful. But Thor's likely a female?
Oh.
And maybe you two can help me out. So it looks like Thor's belly's a little concave, which would make him a male.
Okay.
But the tail is super short, which would then make him a female. And the size, this is the hugest Herman's male I've ever seen, or it's a female. But his name is Thor. Just hold it like you're going to eat a cheeseburger. Here,
You can do that.
I'll let Lily take it over.
Yeah, like that. Just like eat it, be like this.
They're dirty because they mess in their mud.
Nice.
And this is Tulip. And Tulip's a boy.
Oh.
So I have a girl named Thor and I have a boy named Tulip. But who cares, right? Yeah, who cares? You want to hold the tortoise? This is a redfoot tortoise, and this is a special kind. They're called cherry head redfoot. So they've got a brighter red head. They're a little dirty from the dirt and the dust.
Show Aubrey
They're
how to hold it.
They're like pigs with shells.
I don't know.
They like to root in the mud and dig and burrow, and they're kind of goofy.
I think we should hold this one and I hold the classic.
All right, there you
Look
go.
at you! Stanley,
Hi, Stan.
and he's a male redfoot. He's gigantic. I could be wrong, but I don't think I've ever seen a male redfoot this large. I just got Stanley back last night.
When did we get him?
Last night.
Are there
The night
heads?
before today.
Why is he so big?
I don't know that.
Oh no, I never seen him.
You don't You know why I think he's this big? Is because when he was about 2 or 3 years old, he was a scientist experimenting with gamma rays, and he accidentally got gamma rays on him. And now when he gets angry, he gets really big.
Don't make him angry.
Just imagine.
You won't like him when he's angry.
I got touched by you.
We go back to the Lou Ferrigno whole TV
gosh.
show.
Yeah, by the way, I'll look at this.
You were talking about therapy a little bit earlier, and I think reptiles, nature kind of does that for us, and for many people.
Either going out in nature or
Yes.
having nature in your house and
Yes.
having a planted vivarium where you can sit back and watch your geckos run around or watch your fish swim around.
Yes.
There's such a therapeutic element to having these animals. And I started, I've been a therapist for a long time also. I own my own clinic here in Kenosha. And in the last 3 or 4 years, especially when COVID hit and I was trying to be creative with stuff, overlapping reptiles, I think there's a lot of opportunity to use reptiles as therapy tools in the mental health field. But then I also am looking at mental health within the reptile field. I have theories. I want to figure out how to formulate it a little bit more. But there's something about these animals that draws people. And I really want to check out and figure out I've said it on other podcasts and other videos too, looking at everyone in the hobby who keeps these animals and what is it about these animals that draws you to them, and what percentage of people, how many people in the reptile hobby have anxiety, have depression, a mental health diagnosis?
Yeah.
And how do the reptiles help you with that? Because I don't want to come up with the answers myself, but there's something unique and special about these animals. And maybe that's it. Maybe because they're unique and different and maybe looked at differently by other people, that maybe there's an identification to that. I've had people message me saying that they have a really hard time getting out of bed in the morning and they get stuck in ruts, but their animals get them out of bed and their animals give them a reason to get out of bed and start the day, and then they start the day that way. The breeder didn't know what was wrong, but said, I don't want these to be I don't want these to be bred, I only want them to be pets. So a bunch of them went to different educational places and we got one. But we took Bucky in for an x-ray, and where your arms and your shoulders meet, you have a ball and socket joint.
Yeah.
So Bucky has the ball, but not the socket. So if you looked at his x-rays, he's missing the socket part of his bone for the shoulders to connect. So his arms are literally just kind of hanging there.
Yeah.
And they're attached by muscles and tendons.
I saw it.
But he does this really goofy arm
Yeah.
things. Yeah, look at it. He's kind of like a superhero.
I remember.
But we like bringing Bucky to shows because he's, I think, we learn about reptiles, but we learn about ourselves as well.
There you go. Absolutely.
We can overcome obstacles in our lives. Bucky's living with a goofy arm. We can overcome some of our own challenges.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Bucky teaches that. I've been in here for 4 years now in this space, and it's evolved so much in the last 4 years. But I'm at the last leg of my evolution, where now I want to finish getting the backgrounds done and finish making the cages look naturalistic and finish getting we're painting the brown wood black, but there's still some touch-ups. And then I definitely have some animals that need upgrades. I definitely have some snakes that need bigger cages. I have some reptiles that were small when I put them in their cage, and in 4 years they've grown. I need to move them around. So I'm in the last phase of this place, and then I'm hoping, I've been saying it for a year now, I hope to be open in a couple months, but I really would like to be open to the public.
But all of that is a natural progression. It's a natural growth.
It's a lot of work to take care of the
It is a lot of
and then
work.
take care of the facility, and then take care of all that other stuff.
And you
Yeah,
said
I
you
have to
have
work.
17 jobs?
Yeah, probably. I would count the storefront and WPS a job, even though it's probably not full-time. But I own a therapy clinic in Kenosha, Impact Child and Family Therapies. We have 140 families we serve,
Wow.
providing mental health counseling and supportive services. I have 27 staff that I supervise.
Gosh.
Luckily, it's my house is 4 minutes that way, and my therapy clinic's 4 minutes that way.
Nice.
So that's nice. Hey,
Feels
here,
way better.
we'll go like this.
Yeah.
I always do it on the neck. She's not going to choke. I won't let her choke you.
I know.
But when you have the steak on, you're more balanced.
Yeah.
And if you have the weight on one side and the weight on the other, you can kind of balance so the snake won't fall. And it just kind of is an easier way to hold the snake.
Very
It's-
beautiful.
Are you ready?
Just because it feels fine.
Yeah, you're doing an awesome job.
Yeah.
I think it feels relaxing. I think it's kind of soothing and kind of like a nice little weight on your shoulder.
Yeah, it's like a
feels
massage.
good. It's cold too.
Yeah, and
You want to switch with me really quick? I'm gonna go get Chubba Bubba.
Yeah.
Chubba Bubba?
Yeah.
I want to show you.
I'll show you
bigger and
Chubba
bigger.
Bubba.
she's like this when she sees Chubba Bubba. I don't like that.
Same kind of snake, but a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
I nicknamed her Chubba Bubba, and then I just never gave her a real name. I feel really bad,
By the way,
but that's okay. Chubba's cool.
she's like this when she saw Chubba Bubba.
I want it on my.
She's a little wet because she was by her water dish. You want to try her on your shoulders?
Wait a second, why is her?
I'm gonna show that to you guys.
You're fine.
Chubba's like 23, 24 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. Which I think is kind of cool. That's not something you see a lot, or like the older animals, the older reptiles. But look at her tail. And Chubba and her cage mate had their tails broken off. It's broken off just below the cloaca, so she goes to the bathroom just fine. She's not a breeding snake.
How many feet long?
I'm 6 feet tall,
Oh my
so she's
god.
probably about 7.
Oh.
And we'll just go on your lap. Okay, we won't.
Why?
Chubba's really sweet.
She's the sweetest.
No.
Here, I'm just gonna sit next to you with her.
Oh,
We'll just do this.
How about if I sit over there and I hold Chubba Bubba?
Yes.
I just like saying Chubba Bubba. Oh my gosh, it's so much weight. Knock my head off.
She's a little more.
She's gone.
She's
I'm not gonna stay here.
What are you worried about?
Stop, Aubrey.
Does the head make you nervous?
Yeah.
I'll keep the head by me. She's a little anxious, like she's not anxious, but she likes to explore a lot. She's curious. She won't bite, I promise you. I wouldn't bring any animals out to have kids hold if they were aggressive. I would never do that.
I can feel her muscles. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I know, she's pretty strong, right?
Yeah.
I felt
I'm part-time in Zilla. I take care of the animals in the husbandry lab. But again, it's just, we're testing products and testing foods. And I work with the brand manager, and I work with the social media, and I work with the sales and marketing to just make sure everything's legit. Myra's our social media person at Zilla now, and she's a rock star. She's awesome.
Excellent.
So yeah, she's doing a great job. And the Herb Society keeps me busy, and Badgerland keeps me busy, but I couldn't remove one thing.
You're at all the shows.
Always at the shows.
You were saying yesterday that you were called out because of a USARK meeting that you were in for a couple of hours.
I'm not a representative of USARK by any means, but I'm a huge supporter of USARK, and I try to volunteer at the auctions as much as I can and volunteer at the booth. Phil and Vanessa are amazing. I love them and I love what they do. This is actually an American alligator, but the sad thing about Jake is he's going to be 17 years old this month. He should be a full-size alligator. He should be, 400-500 pounds, 8-10 feet long. But he was purchased as a baby, and the guy that owned him had him for 13 years and lived in a place in the state where you weren't allowed to have gators, and so he was afraid of getting in trouble. And so he kind of kept Jake hiding. He kept Jake in a 40 breeder and fed him like boneless, skinless chicken breasts. So for 13 years of Jake's life, he had boneless, skinless chicken breasts, lived in a 40 breeder tank. The guy knew, I'm not trying to vilify him. He's a friend of a friend of a friend. And, I just wish people wouldn't buy alligators, but that would mean that people would need to stop selling alligators. And it's probably going to be hard to get people to stop selling them. But people really need to stop buying them. Jake, he's 17 years old, but when we got him almost 4 years ago, he was skin and bones. His legs had kind of some breakage from MBD, and he had no teeth. He couldn't hold his head up. He was really weak. And so the vet recommendation was, even though he's been kept in a 40 breeder, he's not strong enough to be in a full-size pool or anything just yet. So I had him in like an 8-foot metal trough with a little land spot for him to get out. He ate a ton of whole prey, a lot of Missouri gator chow, and in like 3 or 4 years, we got him back up, back up to health. I love supporting the hobby. I love helping out.
Yes.
And being a part of it, and being a part of something that's bigger than me. It's really cool.
I don't know if I know a more personable person in the hobby, and that's all honesty. I sincerely, anybody that walks up to you feels like you've been best friends for 20 years.
That's
Seriously,
cool.
yeah.
I appreciate that. I like being that way.
Yeah.
It makes life wonderful. It helps to flush out any negativity or toxicity, and because everyone has, we all have our life experiences. We all have bad days, and we can't judge person because of one bad day they had.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's cool. I love, and it's the shows. I know it sounds cliche to say now, but the shows it's like a family reunion. Everybody, the reptile hobby is one big family. It's so great to connect everybody, and I love Tinley, I love NARBC, I love Schaumburg, but Sewerfest is still my jam.
Yeah, there you go.
It's still the local show. It's the one I've been going to the longest. I look forward to the Blue Moon and the Sloppy Joe at 11 in the morning.
11 o'clock in the morning.
11 a.m. the Blue Moon and
Here
the
we go.
Sloppy Joe for breakfast. And Mickey's been bringing show me shows to Wisconsin, but it's been great. Mickey and Cody and his team do an amazing job. And now recently too, Dylan and Brittany, the scale up shows are fantastic. This is a snake hook, and she gets really excited when I open the door because she thinks it's time to eat.
Wow.
And then,
Oh gosh.
and she's getting an upgrade this weekend. We've got brand new PVC cages that were finally delivered, and she's
You're
going
getting
into
so big.
she's going into her new cage.
Oh my gosh.
Like a year.
9 months ago. They take a long time.
You are getting big.
And there's still more.
And there's still more. Yeah, of course.
Oh.
And more and more and more.
Yeah.
She's big.
How long is she?
She's like 13, maybe 14 feet.
Well, she's kind of warm.
Here, Lily, you want to sit back?
Yeah.
Go like this. You want to sit down?
No thanks.
I'll
Are you
sit down.
sure?
All right, Aubrey.
Running away, kind of.
Hey, Lily has the head and you got the butt.
Yeah. I got
How heavy is that?
How heavy is she?
Not actually heavy.
If you're in Wisconsin, you guys, there's a lot of
it's-
reptile shows to go to. And I've met most of them. So come say hi, please.
Wisconsin is a target-rich environment.
It really is. It really is.
Well, we've been here for quite a while. I think
Yeah.
that we're, unless there's one last thing that you want to show us, and
Do you need to hold a tarantula, Wally, before we leave?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we need to get my old lady spider out?
I will do it.
Okay, let's do
Let's
it.
do it.
Yay.
Why do I do this?
She's become quite a superstar at some of our shows too. Her name is Ruby. She's a rose-haired tarantula. Are you ready?
I'm ready for you to let her walk on me and
She's
not
a-
just push her.
She's a female Chilean rose-hair.
We got this.
They're super tame, Wally. There you go. There you go.
I said the last time it was a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
Yeah.
I would never, ever do it with anybody else because I never trusted anybody else to do it. So,
I'm keeping this video at like shoulder height and hand height so that they can't see that you just wet your pants.
don't say that.
He's holding a tree.
Where?
Very sexy.
There you go. You're good. Hold her for a minute. I'll be right back.
Wait, what?
Yeah, do it. Do
That
it.
was a joke. That was a joke.
Now, what kind is it?
A Chilean rose hair.
Okay.
They used to be really common in the pet trade, and then South America cut off importing.
That's really cool.
Okay.
Crystal asked me.
Are we gonna get this on video? Nice.
There you go. That's all.
What?
You'll be breeding birds.